All right, on today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, no, the Stanley Cup is not over yet, but just what if Connor McDavid loses in this Stanley Cup final? What does that do, if anything, to the power rankings between him and Nathan MacKinnon? Let's discuss. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom. Kyle Sullivan, thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter X, Locked On Avalanche, Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. And when you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion on everything Avalanche related, which we share in this very podcast. And for today, sir, as you can see, if you are watching on YouTube, we'll finally get back to some draft prospects and how we're kind of doing that. It's what is, I keep forgetting the name you came up with.
The Draftchuler.
It's perfect. It's perfect. So we'll get into that. That Four Nations tournament, which we have not had a chance to talk about yet. We'll discuss that. But where we're going to start today, sir, is a topic that we always like to revisit every once in a while. Oiler fans and Oiler media and podcasters probably don't revisit it because they feel like Mr. McDavid is on his own little island and no one can even come near it. While fans of other teams, and for us, obviously the Avalanche, we feel like that chasm that Oiler fans think is between McDavid and everybody else is not as big as they want to make it out to be. And is Nathan MacKinnon right there with Connor McDavid? Yeah, we tend to think so as of recently. And we're asking the question, I like I said in the opening, like the series is not over. 2-0. Florida took care of what they had to take care of home ice. Let's see what the Oilers do on their home ice. But Florida looks just unbeatable right now. So if we're going ahead, maybe we shouldn't do it, but hey, why not? And the Oilers end up losing this thing. What does that do to the Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid like ranking for now? Because you remember the middle of the season, TSN came out with their power midseason power rankings for individual players. And for the first time in like forever, somebody unseated Connor McDavid, and that was Nathan MacKinnon because he was having an incredible season and he finished having an incredible season. So what do you think? Like if he doesn't win it, then MacKinnon is in the lead in terms of Stanley Cups 1-0. And that holds a lot more weight than all of these nice, shiny toys that Connor McDavid has in trophies. Mac has the one that he still will be searching for if he does not win this cup.
And that's the wonderful thing about this debate. Who, like, when you talk about better, greater, who has the better legacy, what is going to define that? Who is a better quarterback, Dan Marino or Brad Johnson?
Wow.
One has a Super Bowl.
That is apples and oranges. So
yes, but
the thing is, like, Brad Johnson was never in the mix for like, for like an MVP or something like that.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's
right.
true. And look, and again, the story is not complete on this season on what Nathan MacKinnon is going to be walking away with hardware wise.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what that's going to look like, and that should be any day now, that award show.
I don't know when but like, I'm confused with that because I thought it was just going to be the award show, but we're getting the answers of who's winning these things like every few days, just out of nowhere, randomly. So I don't know.
But so let's just say everything ends like it is. And by the way, things for the Edmonton Oilers aren't looking great with scratches and health, and Florida just looks unbeatable. Let's just say McDavid doesn't win it. Is this enough to be one of those seasons where he believes he can get it done in Edmonton, or does he want to try somewhere else? And then what that is going to be a big legacy defining thing, because if Nathan MacKinnon is a all-timer, a Sakic-like all-time Avalanche, that only bolsters that story a little bit. But if McDavid has to go to the Kings, or he has to go around to find continually chase that cup, granted he's an accomplished hockey player, incredible. By the way, Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid, right now both have the exact same amount of goals in their career.
Right.
But Connor McDavid clearly has more personal hardware. Nathan
And
MacKinnon
fewer games played.
He
does.
And Nathan MacKinnon has the one Stanley Cup. So which do you find as greater?
But I mean, but where you're going is not really where I want to go right now. I mean, you're going for legacy, and where is Connor McDavid going to move on from the like? I'm not going there now, because that's a conversation for 10 years from now when we have a better idea. For today, for right now, or I say today, let's talk, in a week or so, if this series is over and he doesn't win one, when you just do power, like, and I don't want, again, I don't want Oiler fans to be like, no, impossible. And it's not to say, like, I'm a Connor McDavid fan. He is incredible. And it's not to slight him if you're to say today, Nathan MacKinnon, I say a better player, not in the, like, Connor McDavid's skill set is unmatched. It's unmatched. Like, nobody plays the game like him. But Nathan MacKinnon is right there. And I've always felt like Nathan MacKinnon is as close to Connor McDavid as anybody is in the league. Anybody. And this year, I think he closed that gap even a little bit more. But now Connor McDavid's got to go play for the Stanley Cup. If Connor McDavid didn't make to the Stanley Cup, I think that I don't know where the TSN list is now, if that changed at all. But I think MacKinnon is entrenched at number one heading into next season. If McDavid doesn't win the Stanley Cup, and then go even a little bit further, Kyle, if Nathan MacKinnon wins the Hart, so again, he's not matching McDavid in overall hardware in terms of individual awards, but now he has just that another chip, and that's current. That is more current than what McDavid has done, which he has not won a cup yet. Again, fast forwarding if he doesn't. If he does win it, I think this whole thing changes, and he's finally got one, and people will throw him right at the top of the list like they love doing all the time. If he doesn't, and MacKinnon does win the Hart, I think that conversation still needs to be had, because now he's got a Hart in his back pocket and a Stanley Cup, and the few other ones that he has as well.
Well, I threw out all those little examples and kind of give you a glimpse in the future and where this story has come so far, to kind of basically hit you with this point that's it's not going to sound the greatest, but think about it for a second. Connor McDavid is where he's at right now. This team started out terribly, and he put the team on his back, though, and got him to the Stanley Cup. And Nathan MacKinnon is at home because of what he could not do in the Dallas series. Granted, TSN did rank Nathan MacKinnon above at the beginning of the season, but when the pressure was on and somebody had to step it up this year, that might be Connor McDavid with what you see in these playoffs, because his production since the injury and that terrible, terrible start and that outdoor game is when things really changed for Edmonton. When things were getting hard and things were falling apart, Nathan MacKinnon just could not take that additional step. You did not see a typical Nathan MacKinnon game in that Dallas series, and now they're home, and 2 rounds have gone on during this time, and Connor McDavid's continually done just really great hockey, where at the beginning, yes, you could have had Nathan MacKinnon might be sitting up here, but I think Connor McDavid has closed the gap just a little bit because of this Stanley Cup run.
So that holds, obviously that holds some weight. Getting to the Stanley Cup is a big deal. And when the Avalanche are eliminated in the second round and he made it to the Cup final, okay, I get like that. That's an achievement. And again, if he doesn't win it, like, are people going to be like, well, he never made one, but he finally made one. Okay. Like I grant you that it's difficult to get there. he finally got there. Again, his career is not over yet. I fully believe by the end of it, he will have one, maybe two with Edmonton. I don't know. That's a conversation for another time. But in the end, it will be Nathan MacKinnon 1-for-1 and Connor McDavid 0-for-1.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, while again, congratulations, you made it that far. Again, that is an accomplishment. How you're saying, like, he's putting a team on his back. Well, look how they're playing right now. They're not like he's playing fine. He's always going to be fine. But it's not just him. I think his team is letting him down on a lot of fronts. But it's kind of like talking out of both sides of the mouth by saying, like, oh, he made it there, but then he lost it. How much weight does that hold too? That the best player in the world, or one of, got his team to the cup final, and then when he got there, couldn't get them over that hump either. I just feel it's just like a never-ending like conversation you can have, and it just really falls on like what side you fall on. And I think a lot of people are just going to hold on to McDavid's skill set is just out of this world, and therefore nobody can touch him. Fine, but I will go. If you want to go down that road, I'll grant you that. But I will follow it up by saying, like I said in the beginning of this segment, the distance between him and MacKinnon, I do not feel is as big and as massive as a lot of people want to say it is. And I will always think that. And if you don't want to put MacKinnon number one, I won't argue with you. But I will argue it's not like McDavid all the way up here and then MacKinnon and everybody else way below him. I'm not there. Sorry.
And it goes back to, if Nathan MacKinnon does win the Hart, this would go wire to wire. He would have the better campaign than Connor McDavid. But if Nathan MacKinnon does not win the Hart, you would have to say, looking back in your 2024 year in review, that Connor McDavid really did give all he had to get to that Stanley Cup. And that's how you're going to look at them favorably and probably match them up. But the gap that was there before, it's neck and neck.
I agree. I think there was a gap between McDavid and everybody else, and I think it's closed a little bit. I think it has closed a little bit. So fun conversation to have, and I think it's going to go on. We'll see how this thing ends. I'm actually rooting for Edmonton. I know that I'm kind of in the minority there. You are not, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes when they're on home ice. We're talking about these two guys. They might be playing with each other in this Four Nations tournament that is going to be next year. We haven't had a chance to talk about it. We'll do that coming up next. But first, let's hear from Game Time. It makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off with killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seats, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. What are some of those things that we love? The priority last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sporting events, concerts, comedy, and theater. They have the flash deals, the zone deals, all in pricing, shows you the total up front. There's no surprise fees at checkout. The views from your seat is one of the things that we love the most. And the lowest price guarantee or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, we're getting some best on best hockey here for the first time in 7 decades or something like that.
It's been 84 years.
Oh my God, it has been. And it comes in, and we're going to get Olympic hockey that's coming back. But first, we're getting this Four Nations tournament. We heard about it a few months ago, and now we've kind of have like the fleshed out schedule, what it includes, where it is, when it is, and the nations involved obviously are the USA, Canada, Finland, and Sweden. It is going to run February 12th through February 20th. The first 4 days are at the Bell Center in Montreal. and then the last 3 games are in Boston. So you'll have the 4 teams meeting up, and then a championship game based on points. It's all the same point system like they use in the NHL 3-2-1 system, and the 2 teams with the most points after this round robin playing the championship game. I think this is going to be good. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think we haven't had something like this in so long. I think fans are really going to look forward to this. And even people that maybe it's not really on their radar when it happens, I think they're going to tune in because you have not had this in so long. And it's good that we're getting something like this. And then eventually the Olympics. And then I think they're going to even doing the World Cup of hockey in another couple of years after that. So it's nice that you get all this stuff back because the players want this, and the NHL made that clear. That's why they're doing this stuff, is because the players have not had it, and they were adamant about we want to do this stuff, and we're starting with this 4 Nations tournament.
And I think the last time we had anything close to this was that World Cup hockey tournament, it was fine. It was nice. It was enjoyable.
Yep.
And that was a million years ago. And now we'll get the 4 Nations tournament, the Firebenders, the Earthbenders, the Airbenders, and the Waterbenders. And honestly, when I heard this all laid out, all I kept thinking was, what an incredible ticket. There has to be an all day, like, you have to sit there just to watch those games go on. And by the way, this is subbing the All-Star game.
Thank God.
So
Thank God. Yeah.
My co-host is extremely excited about this. But no, this is wonderful and a great showcase to the game. And you can take off all the jerseys, and it's all under the 4 Nations banners, and it's really good matchups. I don't think they outlined anything that they're playing for other than pride.
Yeah,
but
no, that's it.
I think
that's all. When you're doing this for your nation, that's what it is.
Yeah, and I think it's a good international showing of NHL talent, which you haven't had before, other than like with rights and NHL this and that. It's hard to distribute, but having this kind of tournament, I think, is a really, really good thing for an international footprint for the game.
Yeah,
and I really hope it goes off as they plan.
And I think, the 4 nations that are in it, what I like about it is they all got a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, sure, you're going to put Canada up at the top. I think the U.S. will have a good team, but Sweden is always very good. And Finland is we were expecting a very good team as well. So I don't think, sure, you can rank them and be like, yeah, Canada will probably be at number 1, but that doesn't mean they're just like skating through this thing.
No.
So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And when it comes to Avalanche players, I don't know if they're really going to have anybody on the USA side. I can't really think. The only one it would be maybe Casey Middlestat. But are there other guys there that are, is there enough people that play in the US that are above him? Possibly. I think he could be the only one that's really even considered when it comes to the United States. When it comes to Canada, obviously you have your usual. McKinnon's going to be on there. Makar is going to be on there. Taves is going to be on there. I think those are your 3 when it comes to Canada. No.
Oh, absolutely. And I like Taves he might find his way out, but it's going to be Kale. It's going to be Nate. Go ahead and get your jersey now.
Exactly. And then on the Finland side, you have Lehkonen and Rantanen. Pretty safe to say those 2 guys make it too.
Easily.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see Nate versus Mikko. I'm going to be sitting there for that game.
Yeah.
I cannot wait.
I just want to see some of these lines on Canada.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I'm sure McKinnon is going to push to play with Crosby. If Crosby's on this, I mean, I would think he would be just for the name part of it, but we'll see. I mean, they're gonna have some dynamic lines on that team. That's going to be sick. It'd be crazy.
It's going to be it's an incredible spectacle, and one of these. Like, since it's been so long since we had a competition like this, it could be like the end of an era for some and the beginning of a new era for going forward. So this might be the last time you see a lot of these combos like the Sidney Crosby and Nathan MacKinnon. Like, this could be the last time you see them playing with each other. So take advantage of it.
I'm thinking of it. Like, maybe you do see Sidney Crosby in this because it's not the Olympics, right? Like, I mean, it's a Four Nations tournament. It's the first time they've done it. They're going to have some fun with it. But does it hold the weight of like a gold medal in the Olympics? No. But you could make the argument like Sidney Crosby could be there for that next year in the Olympics too, because of who he is. Last hoorah probably for him in the Olympics. So maybe he's in that too. And because of that, because like I say, like because it's Four Nations tournament, first time they're doing it, maybe you do throw Sidney Crosby in there just because of who he is, and you can promote that, obviously. So would make sense. Now, the Team Sweden one is where a lot of people are kind of putting their focus in Avalanche circles, and your one guy there is obviously Gabe Landeskog. I can't unless he comes back, unless his first game back is like opening night, and he gives you 4 solid months of the regular season with no problems. Maybe they put him in there or want him in there. I know you're shaking your head no, but that's the only way I could see it happening is if he starts the season day one and gets, I mean, how many, you're halfway through the season. So you've got 40 some games under your belt and he's okay. He'll probably play in this thing. If not, if he's not coming back until, if it's not till December, no, it's not going to happen. So
no, this is where Gabe Landeskog comes out in a Sweden tracksuit and ushers his team to the bench and makes his debut under the pseudo title of a coach. And then the league takes notice, and they're like, "Ooh!"
But when you're playing for your country, guys will go do it. And if he's healthy, he's going to go do it.
Do they want him? Yeah, it's like
they would take him.
Okay,
they would take him. I would like, again. Everything has to work out perfectly for that to happen. And if he could also get to the point where it's like, hey, I get 2 weeks off to kind of just take a step. I just played all these 40 games. Let me take a step back and take a couple weeks off. He might want that as well.
Yeah, that's why I think
the calling of wanting to play for your country might be too great for him. If, again, I'm stressing this, if he is healthy enough to do that.
Yeah, that's why I pitched him being a coach. He could still be there for his nation, but not be there, like go down in that tournament and be the last time you see Landeskog in that tournament.
That would be catastrophic. Yeah. So we're looking forward to it. Definitely looking forward to it. So, all right, let's get our last break in and then get another draft prospect, which we're going to discuss. And that is good old Cole Beaudoin. So we'll talk about him coming up next. All right, we got a new sponsor, and it's one that you guys are going to like. Locked On Avalanche fans, we want to take a moment to bring up one of our brand new partners, the mobile game Ultimate Hockey GM. If you've ever dreamed of becoming an NHL GM and managing your hockey franchise, and you think you could run the Colorado Avalanche better than Chris McFarland, I know a lot of people out there think they can. Your dream can come true, and this game is most definitely for you. Manage every strategic aspect of your team, play through the seasons, and lead it to glory. Hire the right coaches and staff, trade players or draft picks, navigate through free agency and the draft, all in a challenging and realistic game world. And as an Avalanche fan, you know there's no offseason. GMs are constantly making moves at every point of the year to improve their team's chances, and that's why I think you are going to love Ultimate Hockey GM. It's completely free and playable offline. You can play on the go as you want and when you want. And by the way, Locked On Network listeners get a 100% free boost on their franchise when using the promo code Locked On NHL in the game store. So make sure to check it out. Download the game. You can visit hockeygm.app or look it up in the app stores. That's Ultimate Hockey GM. Start your dynasty today. All right, let's get some draft or a draft prospect in here. And we did one earlier about a week ago, and then things happened in Avalanche where we haven't been able to do one since about a week ago. We had Dean Letourneau, and how we're doing this is because just kind of refresh everybody. Like, I like diving in and looking at prospects and kind of like researching them and doing the Mel Kiper thing, right? As infantile and as amateurish as I am doing that, I get enjoyment out of it. Kyle is a spectator. He likes the draft, but just tell me who the Avs picked. Is he good? Can I root for him? And away we go. So that's how we're kind of doing this. I bring up a guy, tell you what I like about him. If Kyle has any questions, we just interact and see if for this one, Cole Beaudoin is a guy the Avalanche could pick. And I will tell you right off the bat, this is the guy I want. If he is there, and it's crazy if you're looking up like mock drafts and stuff like that. In the beginning of all of this, maybe the beginning of the year, he was a fringe first rounder, maybe more in the second round, early second round. He's been one of those guys that's gone up the draft, not like skyrocketing up the draft board. There's another guy, Teddy Stiga, who I really like, who is flying up the draft boards. But Beaudoin is going up enough where he might be taken before the Avs at this point. Avs are at 24, could be taken in that 20 to 23 range. And I will say this as well. In our network mock draft, he was taken before. Yeah, I would have taken him in our mock draft, but he was gone. This guy, I think, is perfect for the Avalanche. He's a center. He early on, he will be fine as a middle to bottom six guy. If he needs to be the bottom six guys, like, he's not a fourth line guy, but he has size, he has speed, he plays a 200-foot game, he plays offense, he plays defense. He is a freak athlete. He is in shape, ready to go, ready to hit the ice running. Great shot. Playmaking abilities are fantastic, which I really think the Avs need in their middle six area. I love what this guy can do. And he's got I think he's 6'2", just over 200 pounds. So he's got the size, he's got the strength, not afraid to mix it up in front of the net, wins battles against the boards all the time. It's really like, I'm kind of baffled a little bit as to why he's not higher in rankings, because everything I've seen with this guy and all the video that I've watched and just things I've researched on him, I think he's a home run. So this is where I'm at with the Avs pick.
And for all those that kind of sit here like me, this is a kid that was born in 06. How's that make you feel? But like, with him being 18, do you see Beaudoin being like, he has not seen the college game, he has not seen anything other than the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like?
That's fine.
Like, I like what you're saying about him rising and where he's sitting, and would be perfect. Like, hearing you describe his game, just hearing that and thinking about that in the middle six is just extremely appealing. But do you think that's something that you could sustain? Because he's 18. Is this going to get better the deeper he goes through college? Or is this going to be just, this is how it is now, and then once he learns the hockey way, it's going to kind of diminish?
What I really like about him is, like I said, like, I threw out his like attributes and how like his work ethic is just like unmatched. And he's a gym rat, and he's got the hockey body already. So you don't need for him to put size on, put weight on, put mass on. You don't need him to do that. And you can just work with him on the specifics of the game and on the things that he needs. Sure. I mean, like you said, he's 18. Of course, there's going to be things that you need to work on. You don't have the game mastered. You're not Connor Bedard. You know what I mean? So there's going to be things that he needs to work on, but you can focus on those. You don't have to wait for him to like get him on a diet regimen to bulk up or anything like that. He's got that. And the things that he needs to work, like skating is like average, but it's like, I don't put a ton of stock into skating, because it's like, if you're a projected first round pick, you know what? If you're picked anywhere in this draft, 1 through 7, you can skate.
Mhm.
Clearly, you can skate. And I think this is like skating for me in like for draft prospects is almost like the 40-yard dash in for NFL scouting. And I think people lose sight of the fact, like for a 40-yard dash, we're saying like the guy who runs like a 4.2 40 and a guy who runs a 4.4 40, there's a world of difference between them. Go do a stopwatch and see how close that is between 4.2 and 4.4. It's not that big of a deal, if you ask me. Now, I know there's probably a bunch of football guys out there be like, you're completely wrong, and maybe I am. I just when I see that stuff, I'm like, that's just stupid to me. Skating, yes. Do you need to improve certain things about your skating? Sure. But does it knock you down so much? I can't get there with that, because it's like, you've proven that you can play this sport. Fine. If you got to do a couple things, you're upright too much or whatever, you're not flexing enough in your toe and all that. Fine. That's clearly something you can work on. Is that something you have to bring someone down? No, he's not that. He's a fine skater. What they want, and his speed is fine. He's not like above average speed. But he's a body. He will get in your way. He's not afraid to do the dirty work. And in my review of him, I said, we don't know what's going on with Nichushkin.
Sure.
And if Nichushkin ends up not being with this team anymore, Cole Beaudoin just slides right in, and he is your guy. Maybe not in year one, but when he gets there, he'll do the Nichushkin work, no doubt.
My final question for this Draftula participant, to all the hockey fans like me that are just like, what can he do? Is he caliber enough that when he gets to the age and gets to the time, he could skip Loveland and make an appearance straight to Colorado? Or does he need some seasoning to define if he's going to be a playmaker or a maker of plays with that skating? Like, is this going to be, if everything's going sour with the Val Nichushkin contract and they have to stick with this, is he an easy option that can immediately produce results at an NHL level?
I think he could, if he's in the right like position. Like, yeah, if he's like on your third line or something like that, I think he could manage that. If you tell him now, hey, you got to be a replacement for Val because he's not going to be with us anymore, that's a big ask.
Yeah.
That's big. Could he get there eventually? Sure. But I think he does need some, you got to get your feet wet in the league, right? I think one guy that I see him always compared to is John Tavares.
Oh,
I see him. That's the comparison I see a lot for Beaudoin is to Tavares. So say what you will, man. I really, really, really like this guy. And I hope when I first started kind of like looking into stuff, I was like, he'll be there. And then as like the weeks have gone on, I'm not so sure. And you see a lot of mocks now that do have him going. You still have some that have him going like late. I've seen the Rangers getting him a couple times in some mock drafts. So we'll see where it goes. But if he is there, I really hope the Avs take him. I don't know what direction they're wanting to go in, but I really hope that he's their guy, because he's good. Really good.
Cole Beaudoin.
I was thinking, Cole, how you Beaudoin? There you go. I'll leave you with that horrible dad joke.
Oh,
that is going to wrap it up, folks. How can you end on anything better than that? So
amazing.
We will be back tomorrow with anything new going on in Avs Nation. So until then, thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. It's the Locked On Avalanche podcast. See you guys later.